Welcome back to WRPL. It's the podcast where we talk about all the things we are watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben.
And I'm Steve.
How's it going, Steve?
Going well, Ben. Going well. How about you?
Not the greatest week of movies on my end. We're talking about Beetlejuice, a couple of other new releases, and your basic sort of week. What's new and what's hot. Let's roll.
Alrighty. 14.
Nice.
I think you're going to get 19. 8.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. News? I don't think there's any news, but we did see a trailer. You sent me this trailer.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, the Minecraft trailer came out. So what do you think of new Jumanji?
I think you and I are probably not the target demo.
No. I don't know if I'm even going to see this, because I've never played Minecraft.
Me neither.
I've never been interested in it. I see the appeal, but it's always just looked, kind of ugly to me.
Yeah.
I never was that into those types of games, and this just looks embarrassing.
I mean, honestly, I don't think the animation looks bad.
It's fine. If you're trying to keep it boxy like that.
Yeah.
I think it's fine.
It looks, but I think I would have liked the movie if it was just all animated and not humans.
There's no need for people to be there. Or if the people show up, they're animated as well.
Sure.
All boxy like that. That's great. But just them being their human selves in the Minecraft world, terrible idea.
Yeah, I think it should have been more Super Mario Brothers, less Jumanji.
Yeah.
But what do we know? Maybe it'll make $1 billion.
No, I think it's gonna tank. Well, it'll probably make some okay money first weekend, just because kids are gonna force their parents to bring them to it. But I think it's gonna have a major drop off second week and terrible reviews. And we were on such a good streak with like video game movies. We were getting good adaptations, and then we got Borderlands this year, and now Minecraft.
Hey, you don't know. Minecraft could actually be okay.
Yeah, and maybe it's one of those, hey, it looks like shit and it's kind of stupid, but man, it's funny.
Yeah.
But
it probably won't be.
Probably not, no.
And you know what's funny? Our good friend Rob McElhenney was supposed to direct this movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was originally attached to it and then left after a bit.
I wonder if he thought I'm already doing like a video game show. Maybe it's a little too on the nose.
And then Jared Hess took over Minecraft.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Jared Hess of Napoleon Dynamite, Gentleman Broncos, all that good stuff.
And that's who is directing it?
And that's who's directing Minecraft now.
Oh.
Yeah.
I really like Nacho Libre. I love Gentleman Broncos. I don't know. Okay, maybe it'll be good. Okay, well, let's get into some of the other stuff. I'll start. I know you don't have a lot. I'll be quick with some of my things, but I ate something that I don't know if you care about, but you're tangentially interested.
Okay.
It's about Taco Bell. So
fantastic.
Got your interest?
My ears perked up, but we'll see.
But it was their Baja Blast Gelato.
Nope, pass.
Yeah, so I know you're not a fan of it. I love Baja Blast. You could only get it if you have the app. And I was excited, and it sucks. It sucks real hard.
Shocking.
It felt like mine got left out, thawed, and then refrozen. Because gelato's pretty creamy, and this felt like popsicle consistency. It was really icy and very lacking in flavor. I was very disappointed. So now my expectations for the Baja Blast pie are even lower.
So it wasn't so much of a Baja Blast, as much of a Baja.
Oh, come on, Steve. You can't even attempt the joke unless you had something going.
Sometimes it's about the attempt, not the
and just start talking, and maybe hopefully it comes to which is kind of like what this podcast is.
I was leaving a blank for our audience so they can come up with their own joke and we can all benefit.
Yeah, that works a lot. Well, here's a picture of it. It's teeny tiny.
Oh, that is teeny tiny.
Yeah, it's not very big. It's like 2 shot glasses worth of gelato. But yeah, it sucks. I'm not gonna ever get it again.
It's kind of like those ice creams you used to get in
Like school.
School, yeah.
When you would get the little
The
wooden spoon.
Yeah.
So I watched a couple of things.
Uh-huh.
Let's see. What do I want to do for? I'll start good.
Okay.
I'll do them real quick. I watched two movies that I think you would probably like both of them.
Okay.
One's called Exhuma. It's a Korean film. Came out this year, and it's about a shaman, her apprentice, a mortician, and a geomancer. I've never heard that word before, but his specialty is kind of finding plots to bury your family in that haven't been tainted in some way.
Uh-huh.
And they get together and they help families who may have a curse on them. Oh, this my grandma has been haunting me. We don't know why. They dig her up. Oh, you took her dentures. You didn't bury her with her dentures. She can't rest properly. So, the kid wanted to keep something from grandma. Put the dentures in, do a ritual, lay it to rest. Cool. Curse is gone.
Of all things to keep, someone's teeth?
I know. It's weird. So then they get contracted by this very rich family, and it's like the firstborn of everyone is having these crazy weird headaches, and so they go to find grandpa, or maybe it's even great-grandpa's body, and the geomancer's like, this place is fucking cursed as shit. This is a soiled ground. This is bad. And they dig him up and kind of like put him to rest. But that's only like the first half of the movie. Then the second half starts. There's more buried underneath him.
Uh-huh.
And there's the past of what Grandpa was involved in starts coming out. And it's a really good movie. And I think if I knew more about Japanese Korean politics and wartime, like the fucked up shit that the Japanese had done, like they mentioned like feng shui is a big thing, and the Japanese would put like huge metal spikes into mountains because that would disrupt the feng shui just to fuck with like the Koreans. Like, we're gonna just ruin your vibe because we're a bunch of fucking dicks. Like, the Japanese did a bunch of really terrible things back in the day, but I'm not well versed in that and ancient lore and ghost stories and things like that. So some of it's lost on me, and I had to look up a couple of videos to kind of explain some of the stuff. But I think it's pretty good.
Okay.
And I think you would like it.
Where did you watch this on?
This was on, I think it was on Shudder.
Shudder.
Yeah.
Okay. So then I won't see it.
I mean, maybe it's on other things.
Okay.
I think it was on Shudder.
And it's called what? One more time?
Exhuma. Like think of exhuming something.
Sure.
Yeah. Second one, new release. It's on Netflix, called Rebel Ridge.
Mm-hmm.
The director of Green Room and Blue Ruin. This is his next movie.
I enjoy both those movies.
And that's why I wanted to watch this, but it felt weird. Those are depressing and a little violent.
Little highly violent.
And this just did not feel like his cup of tea. It's pretty much Rambo or First Blood.
Okay.
Or the first season of Reacher. Man it comes into town to bail out his cousin, and the cops just instantly start fucking with him. They see that he has a bunch of money on him. Oh, what's your cousin in for? Possession? Well, then this is probably drug money. We're going to seize it. And now he's stuck in this town and dealing with corrupt cops, trying to get his money back, trying to get his brother out, trying to make deals with the corrupt cops. And then it just keeps escalating and escalating and escalating. And
on paper, it sounds like his kind of movie.
It feels more like a.
I mean, I know what you're saying.
Like when it comes to Reacher, he's like no nonsense, the best at what he does, disarms a man and like takes on 10 guys at one time, sort of thing. And when you watch like Green Room, just a bunch of punks trying to survive Nazis. No one's really good at what they're doing, and it's just kind of. So
this main character is good at all this.
Yes,
stuff.
He's an ex-Marine.
Okay,
he's like
I think if you have the same plot but make him like just a normal dude,
sure,
then it could be
that could be. They look him up like, oh, did he see any combat? No, he was never deployed. Well, he was never deployed because he's so good at like martial arts and hand-to-hand combat. He trains everybody. So he never was sent overseas. And they're just like, oh, fuck, what do we get into? And
that's pretty funny.
It's a pretty good movie. Both of the movies that I just mentioned, they're a little on the long side. They're like 2 hours and 15 minutes each. But there's nothing I'd really cut out of Rebel Ridge. I'd change the title. Terrible title. Doesn't really make any sense. It's a place they got to meet up at one time. Meet me at Rebel Ridge at noon and we'll exchange blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why it's called. Yeah, I don't like that title, but But all in all, pretty fun. It's got Anna Sophia Robb in it. If you like Anna Sophia Robb, I've ever since Bridge to Terabithia, I was like, she's. I like this girl. I'm going to follow her career. And then she made like Willy Wonka movie. She was
Oh
the
yeah, yeah.
yeah, but she's good in it as well. Yeah, good movie. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a movie. If someone recommended it to me and I watched it, I'd say, "Why the fuck did you recommend me this? This is kind of just generic or
Yeah.
whatever." But because I, I watched it on my own, it's pretty good.
It's funny how those kind of things can change your opinion on
Yeah,
something.
exactly. No, it's good. And the main guy is the only thing I know him from. He was mid-sized sedan in Old, the rapper.
Oh, right. I didn't see Old, but
Oh,
I
okay.
remember. I
That
guess,
name.
yeah, I remember that name because I remember you talking about it a lot. Yeah.
He's good, and I guess he's in the running to be Jon Stewart in the Green Lantern show. And after
Oh, cool.
watching this, like 100%, just cast this guy.
Good for him.
Yeah, he's pretty good. And Don Johnson's the bad guy, real piece of shit. And Roy from The Office is another piece of shit officer. So
Cool, cool.
good stuff. What do you got, Steve?
Uh, what do I got? We talked about it briefly before we start, but I'll just say it on the podcast. I got Black Myth Wukong.
Oh
Yeah. It's a game. I told all my friends, hey, I'm not gonna get this game. You know why? Because there's no physical edition for it, and I don't like this shit. I don't like the
Yeah.
way the industry's turning,
Mm-hmm.
and everything's digital. Then one day, if they're just like, we lost licenses, or you know what, fuck it, we sold it all off, or whatever. Now you have no access to all these things you
Yep.
digitally downloaded. Versus like you could just used to own a thing,
Yeah.
and you could let your friends
Let your
borrow
friends
it,
borrow it.
and then
Yeah.
they could fall in love with it too. It was a
Yep.
beautiful thing.
And now you can't sell it. You can maybe try to get a refund on a digital
Uh-huh.
thing, but they can just say no.
Yep.
Whereas now, if you don't have a physical copy, you can't go to GameStop and sell your digital copy of something.
Yeah.
Fuckers.
So I feel a little dirty about it. But I was hanging out with some friends this weekend, and he had it. And he was just like, yeah, you can start a new game and just fuck around for like an hour or two, and then we'll head out. I was like, all right, cool. So I played it for like an hour or two, and it's pretty fucking cool. The the fighting's pretty fun. It's not as like dynamic as like God of War and stuff, but some of the powers you get are really cool. Visually, it's awesome. It's fun seeing sort of like new lore from a country I'm not super familiar with.
Mhm.
I mean, obviously, I've seen sort of some of these creatures in things before. It's based on Into the West, which is sort of like what Dragon Ball Z based it, or Dragon Ball based its story off of, and Goku's kind of like him, and they're both like monkey gods who have staffs and can fly a cloud. Uh, but it's another reason I held back on buying it is because I was doing my research on it when I first saw like the trailer from years ago. I was like, that looks fucking cool. I
Yeah.
can't wait to play that. And then it like was coming out like, yeah, it's kind of hard. And I was like, well, I don't like hard games because
Yeah.
I don't want to be frustrated. I want to enjoy my time, and I don't want to fight the same boss over and over and over again because they're kicking my ass. But then doing more research as the games are coming out, it's like, well, it's not like Elden Ring. It's challenging, but it's not super hard. Like you should be able to get through it. And I was like, I don't know. Well, because I had fun playing it for those 2 hours, I'll get it. And yeah, there's things in it like power ups you can get, or you kind of level up relatively quickly,
Mhm.
and so like you're constantly getting new things to add. So when you go back to the boss again, and it's never like you die and then you have to hoof it for 5 minutes. You can probably get to that boss in like 45 seconds if you
Okay.
really want to, and like dodge around some guys. Um, but yeah, all the boss fights so far have been different and interesting, and they have different like some can burn you, some can poison you, elemental damage shit. None of them so far have looked the same, and they all kind of have different move sets you need to learn.
Aren't they all animal based too?
No. Some are just kind of like dude people. I mean, so far it's
Dude, people.
dude people. Yeah. I mean, so far they're uh, like you start off in the wolf forest or whatever, so all the people you fight are kind of wolf looking, and then you're kind of like in a swamp area where there's sort of like there's a snake headed guy, and like skeleton things or whatever, but sometimes you just fight things that just look like dudes.
Okay.
But yeah, it never really goes into like, you know, the bosses like lore
Hmm.
per se. I mean, there might be something like you click on a journal and it'll tell you like the
Yeah,
history of
yeah,
like where
yeah.
this thing came from. But the game is just like, nope, you're just walking through the woods and these things are in your way. You just kind of have to fight them.
Okay.
Because you don't know like why they're here, or if like are they here for you to challenge to complete this quest, or are they just like are they the gang leader of this area, and
Yeah.
it's just is the whole world just super dangerous because it's filled with these like giant monster things. So that like the world is sort of like ambiguous, I guess, because you're not the only like monkey person, because the game opens on this like big epic sequence and you are Wukong. uh, but then Wukong is, spoilers, defeated in the beginning of the game, and then you're kind of like, it's however long later, and you're just a monkey guy who looks eerily similar to Wukong, and now it's just like your journey to hopefully awaken his power, I guess.
Okay.
But anyway, it's super fun and super cool looking and really interesting. It's a kind of game that I don't know if I'm surprised I'm liking. So we'll see. Like once it gets to like later chapters and things are getting like really really hard, I'm just like, fuck, I wish I didn't spend $60 on this game.
Is there a lot of like back traveling? Or is it a little more linear? Is it a big
uh,
open world?
no, I mean so far it's pretty straightforward. Like
Okay.
there are areas to kind of like explore and find like hidden chests or
Hmm.
whatever. Um, but uh, whenever you can like kind of complete an area, you can always like travel back to that area, because I think there are times where you have to go a few you have to go ahead for a while before you can backtrack to
Okay.
unlock a thing.
Okay.
But it pretty much you just go straight and you're going to get through
Okay.
the bosses. And
Kind of like that vampire cowboy one.
oh, Evil West.
Evil West.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
uh maybe a little bit more open world than
Okay.
that, but yeah, just it's pretty linear.
All right. Cool. Cool. Cool.
But anyway, so once I'm only on chapter 1 and there's 6 chapters, and I think they said there's 81 bosses
Damn.
in this game, and I've only fought 5 or 6 or something like that. Some of them are optional if I didn't say that, but anyway, I'll let you know once I beat it. Or if I ever beat it, if I might get to a part where like I can't fucking beat this guy, fuck this
Take
game.
6 months off.
Yeah, take 6 months off and go back. So we'll see.
All right. Cool. I got two more things.
Okay.
One I saw today. I'm not going to talk very long on it. It was the front room with Brandy.
Okay. Yeah.
So like she's pregnant, they're married, they're having financial troubles. Her husband has a stepmother who is very religious and a huge piece of shit from his past. Well, when his dad dies, the mother-in-law's willing to give up all their fortune, but she's got to come stay with them
Hmm.
and makes their life a living hell. She's racist, she's mean, she is like kind of a fake. She acts like she needs these canes to walk around, but she actually doesn't. She will just piss and shit herself to make them clean up after her, and then like look over someone's shoulder and smile at Brandy like, ha ha ha, got you. Because it seems like she's just trying to get at the baby.
Hmm.
This movie's disgusting. There's so much old lady piss and shit. It's insane. Like shit on the walls, on your clothes. Like it's a lot. It happens a bunch of times.
Mm.
And you think it's going to go in very supernatural ways. She's a very religious woman. She has her prayer group touching Brandy's stomach and, making prayers. And then her cesarean scar is much, much better than before. Oh, does she have superpowers? Doesn't really go that way.
Interesting.
And then
the trailer makes you believe
makes
that.
you believe that
Yeah.
they're going to open a door and it's going to be hellfire or whatever. And then there are times where she has like a certificate saying she was a child of the Confederacy, and like, oh, they're going to make her super fucking racist and she's going to try to kill Brandy or say, drop the N-bomb a couple of times. They don't really go that way either. They ride this line that they don't really know which way they want to take it. So they just go down the middle, and she's just a bad lady who's really awful to take care of. And it doesn't really go further than that. There's a lot of interesting things that they could have done
Yeah.
to elevate this. Because just spoilers right away. Brandy wakes up one morning and she has died and she's just dead in her bed, and they're like, whew, at least we're done with that. And then you flash back and Brandy wakes up in the middle of the night like, I can't take this anymore, and smothers the old lady. And like, oh, that's pretty cool. But what if she smothered her early in the movie, and then she wakes up and the old lady's still alive and is like giving a little wink like, I know what you fucking did and now I'm coming for you. And she's trying to convince her husband there's something else going on. She can't admit to trying to kill her. It's like, there's more to it. And he's like, I don't know, maybe she's turned over a new leaf. Like, there's ways they could have played it, and they just play it real safe. Except for all the piss and shit. It's insane how much piss and shit. But I will say the woman, the old lady, what a performance. She's going all out. She has a crazy voice, and she just will, like, when she's caught walking without her canes, and then Brandy sees her, she just starts like flinging herself against the wall like, oh my god, I can't walk, I'm gonna fall. And she's just so over the top. I had a really good time watching it, and I think like you would probably hate this movie.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure.
Like me, Nick, and my roommate were just laughing the whole time because the faces she makes. Someone's like slowly closing the door and she'll like poke her head out to the side, just give this smile of like, gotcha, bitch. And it was a good time. I never want to see it again because it was so disgusting, and it's not a very good movie. But I'm glad I saw it.
And were you happy to see Brandy acting again after all this time?
She's bad. Like in the first few lines, it was like, oh, she's kind of lost her touch. I was never a big Moesha fan, but I've seen enough of it. She's not great in this. I think for being 45 years old, she looks like she could still be in Moesha. She's crazy, beautiful looking, but acting, I don't know if she has it anymore.
Fair enough. So, just so we're clear, once again, spoilers. At the end of the movie, she's just dead. They're like, well, we don't have to deal with that anymore, and it just ends. There's no, like, is the twist like they don't actually get the money? They put up with all that for nothing?
Nope. They sell that house and get a new house. Now she's pregnant with twins she's had that baby. Her husband got the promotion. She's going for a new job because she does like spiritual studies about gods and stuff like that. And no, it's just the last scene is her in her interview, and they're like, wow, you've really been through a lot. How did you do it? Cuts to her waking up and smothering the old lady, and just like, you just got to power through. The end.
With murder.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then, so one other thing. This movie, everyone has told me, you gotta watch it. We know you hate Adam Sandler, but you gotta watch this one. This is the good one.
Okay.
I watch Uncut Gems.
Oh, okay.
So, like, I've seen Adam Sandler in like Funny People.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that movie. I thought he was turning a corner, being aware of the garbage that he's made for years, being self-referential, and he wouldn't do that anymore. But then the next year he came out with fucking Jack and Jill. So, he didn't learn anything from that. I saw him in... I was just talking about... What's the Paul Thomas Anderson movie?
Punch Drunk Love.
Punch Drunk Love. He's great in that. I mean, he's a little like a weird autistic version of himself, but it's a really sweet movie, and Philip Seymour Hoffman is really good in that.
Yeah, great movie.
It's a really good movie. And so... everyone's like, you gotta watch Uncut Gems. And it was on HBO or something, so I recorded it on my DVR. And I had nothing lined up to watch, so I said, fuck it, I'll watch Uncut Gems. Fuck this movie. This is not a good movie. It's a perfectly well-made movie. Everyone's doing their job.
Yeah.
But everyone is so unlikable, and is just yelling at each other at the top of their lungs. It's so frustrating to watch. I wanted to turn it off, but knowing the ending, I had to see it. So I was going to just like suffer my way through it. And like, he's not a good dude. He's a bad father, bad husband.
Obviously.
Bad businessman. He has a terrible gambling problem. And every time he's about to get out of it, he fucks himself over again and again. Mm-hmm. So he's hard to root for. There are movies like, you take Wolf of Wall Street, piece of shit, taking advantage of people, but it's entertaining enough, and you kind of like watching him do it.
Yeah.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Ferris Bueller's not a good dude. He's a piece of shit as well. But you enjoy watching him. Even something like American Psycho. Horrible psycho killer, but he's charismatic and you like watching him through the movie, and you either hope he reforms or gets away with it or whatever. You like watching these bad dudes. You can't like this guy in Uncut Gems. There's no redeeming quality for him. So it's just frustrating the entire time that he keeps getting out of these situations, and he doesn't deserve anything good to happen to him. And, he gets his comeuppance, which is the best part of the movie, but I don't think it was enough for me to say, this is a good movie. And I think a lot of people ride that shocking high of, I can't believe Adam Sandler got shot in the face at the end of this. After he won over $1 million, wow, oh, what a tragic end. No, he had it coming. He deserved it. I'd say the tragic end is his, brother-in-law that is one of the enforcers of the other guys. Is like, whoa, what the fuck? You can't do this. And he gets shot. Mm-hmm. That's the tragic part of it, I guess. I'm happy that his, escort girlfriend now has $1.5 million that she probably gets to keep, and unless they come after her somehow. But this is just not a good movie, and it's just an incredibly frustrating movie, and it only really lives, I think, in people's minds because of what a shocking ending.
I mean, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that, but I've only seen the movie once when it was in theaters, and I do remember liking it a lot. It was the first time I think a movie has made me feel so anxious in terms of I feel like my head was rattling because, like you said, I agree. There is a ton of yelling in this movie. I felt like I was watching The Bear. Just yelling and just you're right. You can't root for this guy. There's nothing redeeming about him, but it's kind of all about the power of addiction and gambling addiction.
Sure.
It's you can win, you can get out and make it to zero, but when you're debt free, you're just well, I can take that risk, and that's the problem.
Now I'm up a little. I can risk that.
Yeah, I can risk that, and it's just you're always going to be down.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was kind of the fun of watching him. Will he or will he not get out of this? And just constantly failing and failing and failing. We're just oh my god, this fucking sucks, and this is hurting me to watch. And then you get to the end, and it's oh, he did it, and you kind of are I think it's a good example of how it kind of feels to do that.
Sure.
I think the movie does that well.
And
then once it's over, you're just well, Jesus Christ, that. That was a ride, and I don't feel good about it afterwards. But I think that's kind of the point.
Mm-hmm.
So from what I remember, that movie worked for me, and it was I thought it was fun to see Adam Sandler do something different, even though it's.
See, you say different, but I feel this is just normal Adam Sandler, and he's just not doing his baby voice. He's doing his loud, screamy guy voice.
Sure, I mean, I don't think
throws a little extra New York Jew on it, but that's about it.
Can we say that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Jesus. No, but I mean, his character isn't, I think, a stretch for him. I think this is certainly in his realm of sort of, yes, that crazy voiced, loud guy. But I think the movie itself, or the structure and tone of the movie, is different from for him.
Yeah, it's better. It's different than murder mystery or whatever.
I think it's good casting because we've seen Adam Sandler do this, but what if we see him do this in this intense drama film? Will it work? And it does work, I think, because he's done this character a bunch, but just more sleazy and gross and a bad person. But I think it's a better made film than anything. I mean, not his greatest film by any means, but I think it's better
made than his Happy Gilmores and stuff like that.
Sure. What brothers?
Safdie brothers.
Safdie brothers. I wanted to say Duffer, and I was I know that's not the Duffer brothers. That's the Stranger Things guys.
Yeah. And it's funny because the guys who did The Front Room are Eggers' brothers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's oh.
Well, we know where the talent in that family went.
Yeah. So,
anyway.
Yeah, all in all, don't like it. Pass. Yeah. Just a real frustrating watch. And I think for me, I don't like watching stories about people I don't like.
Sure.
I don't like watching things about bikers. They're a subset of humans that I absolutely despise. I hate bikers. So I'm not going to enjoy stuff about them. And when it comes to scummy guys who are just morons when it comes to the most logical thing of how they can make their lives better, it's just frustrating for me, and I can't watch this.
Yeah. No, I mean that's something I don't typically like either. Like when I remember watching The Dirt. Do you remember that movie?
The Dirt?
Where it was a movie based on Motley Crue's
Oh yeah,
life.
you mentioned it on the pod, but I did not see
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I would never watch that
I
movie.
hate that movie because like, oh, all four of these dudes are awful human beings.
Yeah.
And like there's nothing really redeemed. I'm sure maybe they got better as they got older and like couldn't do as much drugs and hit women as much or whatever. But like we should not be glorifying this band.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they can make good music. That's cool. But it like being this like hardcore rock star group and just do like it doesn't that good music doesn't negate all these
All the bad stuff. Yeah.
It's like I can separate, art from the artist,
Mm-hmm.
and I can go like, sure, I like Miley Cruise music. I actually don't.
Don't.
I don't know. I'm sure I've heard it, but I can't think of any song that they did. But like just watching that movie, I go like, why are we making this movie about them? Like, fuck these dudes.
Yeah, it's not that they all reformed and did good things and became doctors or helped starving kids. Like, no, they
weren't the wild stallions, and the power of their music like saved the planet.
Like, no, they just got out of the limelight and just maintained being who they are. Maybe they stopped being as bad, but they never got
still
good.
Assholes, yeah.
Wolf of Wall Street. I don't care about stock dudes and finance bros, but when you're telling an interesting story that's shot really well with fun characters in it, yeah, you could hook me in.
Yeah.
But when you just have a bunch of dudes going, "You owe me money. Oh, he take a roll like that. I don't want your roll like that. You owe me money." Not just over
a bunch
and
of
over.
Sabolas.
Yeah, exactly. Just really. Can we say that?
Yeah. Cut.
All right. You want to talk this week's Rings of Power?
Before we do that, I forgot. I did watch one more thing. Just the first episode of it.
Okay.
But I watched the first episode of Kevin Can Go Fuck Himself.
Oh, okay.
Which I know you've seen.
I saw season 1. I needed to watch season 2.
Okay. Because we were just like, we couldn't think of anything else to watch. We weren't in the mood to watch Rings of Power. And so she was just like, I heard good things about this. I was like, yeah, I'll watch it with you. I know what the concept is. For those who don't know, the concept is this woman, whenever she's in a room with her husband, it's kind of played as like a
King of Queens,
married
3
with children,
camera comedy.
Yeah, like a typical studio audience sitcom. And then when she's out of it, it's kind of more like a AMC drama, I guess. It's just like dark and gritty and just like it's the real world. But when she's around her husband, it's kind of like this fantastical world.
Yeah.
And it's a real fun concept. And I really enjoyed the first episode because it's one of those things you don't really think about watching something like King of Queens, where like the husband is this big dumb doofus and his wife's very hot, and it's like clearly he's the problem in a lot of stuff. It's like, what woman's putting up with this? Like, oh, they sure do love him. So seeing like that, how like their arguments play out in the comical way, it's just like, oh, I could see why this would be funny to an audience. But then when she leaves the room, it's like, oh no, like what they just had was an awful conversation that was like would be driving me to like get a divorce or question why I'm with this person. And it's pretty fun. Yeah. But I'm only an episode in, so I won't, I don't have full thoughts yet.
Let me know when you get to season 2 and I'll start that back up and
we
could talk about that.
I thought it was only going to be like a 30-minute show, but it's a full 40, 45.
Yeah.
But cool concept, and I'm interested to see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Because you may have told me how season 1 ends, but I've totally forgotten at this point. Because I don't know, she's just like, fuck, I'm going to kill him or what.
Well, I guess you'll see.
But yeah, it's cool. So more to come. But in the first episode, you find out that because they're like her whole thing is I want to get this house to start a new life because they live in shitty Massachusetts or whatever. Not that the state of Massachusetts is shitty. It just the place where they live seems shitty and has cockroaches and stuff. And she finds out at the end like, oh, this bank account that we had that we've been putting all of our savings in. Oh, he lost that years ago to like baseball card scheme or whatever, and just like how like just get a divorce there. Like that's pretty fucking shitty. But yeah, good stuff. Anyway, moving on.
Rings of Power episode 4.
Yeah,
I guess it would be 3 and 4.
3 and 4. Yeah,
but I don't really remember what happened in 3, so you'll have to catch me up. But yeah, still like we get to see the Ents. That's cool. I I don't know what else happened in episode 4. It didn't win me back.
Okay.
By episode 4. It's only 4 more, and I'll keep watching. But you're not winning me.
Yeah. So the big events were in Numenor. The eagle came and sort of made it seem like Farazan got the blessing that he should be in charge and not whatever her name is, the queen lady, the blind queen. Arondir went looking for Theo. I fucking hate Theo. Like, I didn't like Theo in season 1. When he was taken, I'm like, I just hope he's dead. And this is the show going, like, we have nothing to do with this kid. Yeah. So let's just write him off here. Yep. Which, I mean, I guess they could still be doing at the end of episode 4. Not killing him off, but just like, he's like, I have my own promises to keep. I'm like, cool. And now he's gone. Because you can cut some of this fat. But yeah, Rondir and Isildur are now like teamed up, and I kind of like these two together, just to see what these two kind of warriors do. But they run into the Ents, and they kind of have a nice little sweet scene in episode 4. And they fought that cool looking like sand, that mudworm monster for a brief second. Oh
yeah, okay,
which was like a cool thing, but it only lasted 10 seconds.
Yep.
It's fun seeing new creatures that I have no idea if this is all just made up for the show or if there is some sort of basis for.
Are they the same worms from Battle of Five Armies?
Oh, they're just like more
like small, like baby versions of
them. Maybe. Oh, that's terrifying if it is. But it had like deer antlers coming out or something, or I don't know. Either way, I thought it looked cool. Galadriel and Elrond are on a quest.
Just having their bitch fights. And let's not go here. I know bad shit. Well, we're going to go there because I'm not going to listen to the ring.
Yeah. They run into the Barrow Wights. So we have these, ghost kings kind of flying around that they can't kill. But luckily, Elrond knew lore about you have to kill them with their own weapons.
And it's a good thing they're right behind this rock.
Yeah.
They didn't get chucked into a lake somewhere so they could be undefeated. Nope, they're just right here in a rock.
Well, I mean, they'd probably be buried with their
I guess.
weapons and stuff. But then Galadriel fought some orcs, so the other elves could get away.
Yeah.
And she gave up her ring, and now she's captured by Adar. I thought that action sequence was pretty cool.
Fine, yeah.
Her fighting the orcs. Real Legolas shit. They really love these elves being able to do all this superhuman stuff. But I mean, I guess in a way they are superhuman. So let them do cool shit. But. And then
the dwarves, he apologized to his dad.
Yeah, Doran apologized to his dad. They agreed to meet Celebrimbor to talk about, acquiring rings for the dwarves to save Khazad-dûm, since seemingly everything is turning bad for them.
Just get the Balrog out already. I'm so sick of because they play a little ad at Regal.
Yeah.
Before. During the trailers, and there's always there's a brief little snippet that shows a Balrog. I'm let's fucking get there already. Come on.
We'll see.
Episode 8.
Yeah. And then what else happened?
Oh, and then
that's pretty much all stuff from
Gandalf and finds,
the stores. Yes, the not Gandalf finds Tom Bombadil.
Yeah. And then gets eaten by a tree.
I thought that was a pretty well done effect. I thought that was very cool.
A good effect. Yeah.
It looked all very practical, and it just seemed like he naturally slid in there, but somehow not get crushed to death.
Yeah.
I think I like that actor who plays Tom Bombadil. Probably most famously known for I think he was the guy who fucked the pig in Black Mirror.
Okay. Yeah.
But he's done other stuff. I am anti Tom Bombadil in the books, but
he can prove himself in the show. Maybe.
But he can prove himself in the show. But I think from what I remember of the books, I think he did a good job, sort of capturing the essence of Tom Bombadil. Although we didn't see Goldberry, his wife, even though she was kind of didn't I hear a woman singing outside? And he's like, I don't know. But yeah, he does have a wife, Goldberry.
Yeah, maybe he just finds her later.
We'll see.
And he's like...
Wouldn't it be funny if it was like Margot Robbie? It's like, wow.
So I think it's just going to be him doing a voice. Like, he's so lonely. He's just doing the voice of a wife.
That'd
and
be
he's
cool.
a little kooky,
Oh, interesting. Yeah, because he is sort of this unknown being from another realm.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, now we have this plot with like this dark wizard, who like, is it a wizard who was here before, Saruman and the other wizards and Gandalf, or is this like, could it be Saruman before he becomes Saruman?
Yeah, because maybe he gets his mind wiped, and then he is the best of all of them, and then it's easy for Sauron to corrupt him later on.
Yeah.
They can do whatever they want.
Yeah, they're really keeping everything vague in the show.
Yeah.
But like, I feel, if I remember correctly, like season 1, I kind of enjoyed the Nori and Poppy group and all their fun stuff, but because we're not sort of in the Hobbit vibe anymore, and now we're just on this desert quest, it's probably the stuff I like the least.
I feel like they're just too similar to Frodo and Sam.
Which I know I know those are the two of the most popular characters, but I need them. I don't know. It's not the same.
Yeah.
But I'm tired of them just calling the shit. Just say it's Gandalf or it's not.
Yeah.
I need it like by episode 8. This motherfucker better have a name.
Yeah.
Or if they're just like, well, you don't have a name, but you're the Blue Wizard or Ratty. Anything. Just give him a goddamn name already.
Nope. Not the Stranger.
Not the Stranger. That being said, I'm still enjoying the show. I don't know. I just like looking at it. There's probably more issues that I'm blind to, but I'm having a good time. It's people with swords and magic and they're on quests, and I don't know, it works for me. I don't mind it. I like it.
It's really one of those, after I watch it and I go to work the next day and I talk to my buddy about it, it's gone from my mind almost instantly.
Yeah.
It's like my brain shuts off when I watch it and I'm not retaining any of the information.
Yeah. I got to say though, orcs look fantastic all the way through.
Yeah.
Like, what a great, I think monster design and like practical effect wise, this show's great.
Yeah.
There's so much good stuff about the show that like seems unfair to say it's bad.
You can't complain about any of the technical stuff, but it's fine if you want to complain about the acting, the actors, the writing, the pacing, the editing, all that. But those special effects guys, they're doing their job.
Anyway.
Anywho.
That's what we got. I look forward to seeing these last 4 episodes.
All right, now for our main event, the movie that will probably knock Deadpool Wolverine off of #1 permanently. Beetlejuice. A movie that took 36 fucking years to get a sequel. Finally hits the theater. Before we get into that, I want to talk about something else that pertains to it.
Okay.
So, as every new release comes, there's new popcorn bucket merchandise. They have a lot of kind of fun stuff for Beetlejuice. They have his little tombstone. The back opens up. It's not a great popcorn bucket, but it's a fun little plastic thing. I like the book for the recently deceased. It's a big metal tin that opens up.
Yeah.
And that's a cool little thing. And then they have the snake bucket. The little black and white snake that's curled around in a bucket form with the head.
Perfect.
So cool. Me and my roommate saw that and we're like, we got to get one of those. She wanted to turn it into a planter. Like, if we could get like some Venus flytraps or something, that would look really cool.
Sweet.
So the weekend before, they usually, like when the Alien stuff came out, it was out the weekend before. So last week, with the big releases of Slingshot in 1992, we were like, hey, where's the snake bucket? You have all the other Beetlejuice stuff out. And like, oh, we're not putting those out until Thursday when it gets released. Like, fine. So I pass our theater going into work every day. I'm like, perfect. I'll go in, get one. Show up. I'm like, hey, I'm here for a snake bucket. And they're like, ooh, they only sent us 15. And we had a line of people like 25, 30 deep waiting for us to be open to get snake buckets.
There was a line outside?
Waiting for this shit.
Wow.
I remember walking down a hall and one of the storage closets were open and they had stacks of Furiosa stuff. And I know those are a little more generic of a bucket, but they way overproduced it. And maybe they're scared of overproducing this and they didn't make as much. But 15? That's ridiculous. 50? Okay, maybe. You're still going to sell that. But
It's the Rick and Morty Szechuan sauce thing all over
it's
again.
ridiculous. It's like, what if everybody who worked there said, I want one? Would they open up and say, no, we don't have any? Or did they not allow the employees to buy them early?
Probably that.
That's fucked up. Like, I get the stupid Borderlands detonator thing, if you want to do limited on that, but this is a slam dunk thing. Why only 15? It's so unfair. And I asked, well, when's your next shipment? Oh, we're not getting a second shipment. That's it. So you're just fucked. And then you're gonna have to pay $100 on eBay or something to get one.
Probably.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So Beetlejuice.
Directed by Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Starring Winona Ryder and Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
And
everyone that you would think is in it, except for Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin. And Jenna Ortega's in it. And I don't care about this movie. Mm-hmm. It didn't need to come out. I love Beetlejuice. One of the best Tim Burton movies, probably.
For sure.
Top 3 for sure.
The most iconic of them all, probably.
Probably. That's like that. Edward Scissorhands and
Big Fish? Ed Wood?
No. I'd say probably Batman if you're...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But of all the ones with a specific look, this one.
Sure.
For sure. So I was hesitant. I didn't think this needed to be made, especially so long after. None of these movies really... It's like Top Gun Maverick is the only one that has truly worked and been a worthy successor to the original.
Not only worthy success, I'd say
but
even
surpasses
better.
It. Yes, absolutely. None of these movies could ever really catch that original glory. So I was hesitant going into this one, but I kept seeing a bunch of reviews. Like, I try not to watch full reviews.
Yeah.
So I don't have any sort of knowledge going on.
Of, like,
but people will go like, I saw it and here's my spoiler-free review. It's terrific. And then I'll swipe away. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, that's all I need to know. People seem to be liking it. Did you like it, though?
I kind of did. I'd say my short review is I wasn't bored. It's certainly watchable. I don't think anyone who liked the original Beetlejuice would necessarily hate it. Mm-hmm. But I don't see why it needed to exist. It doesn't do anything to really add to the Beetlejuice universe. Yep. I think there's a couple things in here that I thought was like, oh, that's a fun idea, but ultimately it didn't lead anywhere all that interesting. So I think this is one of those occasions where Beetlejuice was such a fun original idea that sometimes just go out on a high. If Beetlejuice was a huge success in 1988, and they were like, all right, we're going to put out a sequel in 1990. Great. That makes sense.
Even up to 95.
Yeah.
Sure.
But 36 years later, you really have to question, why now?
Yep.
What story is so great here that warrants it?
Yep.
Because like you said, so far, the only one that I can think of that seems worthy of it is Top Gun Maverick. Mm-hmm. And maybe that's just there's an exception to the rule. Or is it just we're going to have to put out 50 bad movies in the hopes that we get a good one? And I know that there's it's a notable IP. It's got a fan base. We can put it out. Even if it sucks, it'll get some money.
Yeah.
I totally get the business aspect of that. Mm-hmm. But from a creative standpoint where I have to sit here, and not that I watched interviews with Tim Burton or really anyone in this movie, but just these people are doing what they're paid to do and, trying to sell you on a movie and go I'm so excited to do this movie. We really did it right, blah, 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 blah. It's you really believe that this one is as good or maybe not as good, but is a worthy successor to the Beetlejuice franchise? Mm-hmm. I just don't see it. It's totally fine. I didn't hate it.
If you talk to Tim Burton or Michael Keaton in, say, 2005 and said, hey, we ever going to get a Beetlejuice sequel? They'd say, no, it's so long ago. Why would you ever want to do that? It's too late. We're done with that. But now we're just in a world where people aren't looked at as sellouts for doing something like this. And, Michael Keaton just recently was Batman again. Like, whoever thought he would have done that? And I think he's just at a point in his life where it's like, fuck it. I don't care. This is an easy fucking paycheck for me. And even if he did a shit job, people wouldn't blame him.
Yeah.
And Tim Burton hasn't really had a big hit lately. His Alice in Wonderland movie was like one of the highest grossing films of all time for a while. It made so much money. But his Dumbo movie didn't hit. Big Eyes didn't hit. He hasn't really had a hit since probably Big Fish. And even then, like, I don't like Big Fish. I'm a Big Fish hater. I think that movie is not good.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember liking it.
It seems to be one of his more popular ones, but I think it was trash. And this one, also not a hit. I didn't like this movie. Like, at all, really. I'd say the best thing about it is good sets, good practical
production
effects.
Design is awesome.
Everything looked good, except Beetlejuice. I think he looked like shit. I don't think his makeup was very good. It looked like someone being Beetlejuice for Halloween. It didn't look like a demonic entity, a ghoul, a zombie from the dead. He looked like a man in costume.
Yeah.
And he's not fun. He's kind of silly. And he does a lot of weird voiceover stuff. But you remember in the first one, he was turning into like a big test your might hammer thing. He turned into a snake with his head as his face as the head.
The first time I saw that when I was a kid, that scared the shit out of me.
He does a lot of fun, kooky things. So, like, he turns into that cockroach and like, hey. But he doesn't do anything like that in this. He does have his powers, stitching up people's mouths and things. But he's... I don't want to say he's lost it, but it doesn't, I think, even come close to his performance in the first one. I think Winona Ryder is, like, terrible in this. I think Jenna Ortega is pretty good. I think Cathrine O'Hara is always good in everything she does. But Winona Ryder, like, who did she grow up to be? She's a fucking loser. She gets walked all over by her terribly creepy boyfriend and is so oblivious. She's just a doormat. You would think she would have, like, she was such a little turd as a teenager. It's like, becoming a mom herself turn her into a wuss. Like, she's...
Well, I mean, they kind of bring that up where it's like, what happened to my angsty teenage goth girl stepdaughter?
I agree.
And it's like, well, I had a good life and I got married, and then when he died, I fell into grief, and then all this happened. But I'm with you. I'm not disagreeing with you, but at least that there's a story reason for her to be this way.
I guess,
my argument.
But it's so weak. Like, her husband is not even a character in this. It's something that drives Jenna Ortega, but it's not a big named actor, and he has a very small part in this movie. And okay, hold on. Let me.
We're going all over the place. Well,
sure.
But
let me say it, like, the main problem with this movie is there's too much going on.
Yes, agreed.
Willem Dafoe, take out all that shit. Unnecessary. You could take him and Monica Bellucci, take all their scenes out. Doesn't change the movie at all. So that's the first thing you do, is take them out. The dad that dies, the pedophile dad, the guy he's a pedophile in real life.
Oh, right, yeah.
Charles, yeah. He's been dead for a while. That's fine. You take all that out. He's already established dead.
Yeah.
And then you make Cathrine O'Hara the one that dies. You can have a little bit with her, and then she dies. And then I like Jenna Ortega really kind of mad at her mom of not being able to talk to her dad, thinking her mom's a fraud and all that. Then you take Jenna Ortega. She resurrects Beetlejuice so she can get closure with her dad. Like, maybe she doesn't know all the story of why he left. Like, say mom and dad fought, he left, and Winona Ryder refuses to say why they fought. And so she's had some resentment against her. So Jenna Ortega gets Beetlejuice. They go on a subterranean adventure to find her dad, get their answers, talk to her grandma, since she's recently dead, that maybe even her and Beetlejuice are kind of friends now, because now that she's dead, she could kind of, gel with his vibe.
Or she's Beetlejuice's version of hell because she's so uppity and annoying.
Sure,
or something,
you could just take this and make it so much tighter. You don't need the boyfriend serial killer stuff. Pull all that out. This movie is just stuffed with shit that it all gets resolved in its own way.
Yeah.
It's not all left hanging, but it's so unnecessary that the film is so bloated and just not a fun watch. And not funny. I didn't laugh at all. There was one time I kind of laughed.
Mm-hmm.
I think like Willem Dafoe's character is kind of like a fun idea.
Yeah.
And every time like he's in a scene, his secretary comes in and gives him a cup of coffee. Like every single scene she's in. And I just thought that was funny. Just this repeating joke of that's her only thing. She comes in, hands him coffee.
And then he crushes it.
And he crushes it and there was a pile there. That's funny.
Yeah.
Everything else in this, not funny. Justin Theroux, ugh. I love Justin Theroux.
Yeah.
But he's so bad in this.
Yeah, he's the most he's the cringy one in this movie.
Yeah.
And I know that's the intent of his character.
Sure.
But as someone who hates cringe, it is not enjoyable to watch.
Mm-hmm. And like, why is Lydia with this dude? Come on.
Yeah, well, they met at the retreat. Anyway, but I don't think... Normally, I like Jenna Ortega.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she's good in this movie.
She's fine. She's just doing Wednesday Light.
Yeah, but it's just you could have replaced her with any young actress and have been the exact same movie.
That actually could have been fun. Like, imagine, you know, her friend in Wednesday, the blonde, the little, who's in Minecraft, right?
Yes.
You put her in it, and it's like she's the daughter of this ghost hunter lady who's super goth and stuff, and she's this blonde, bubbly person. What a fun, counterbalance to that character. But no, she's just Wednesday Addams. Not as morose.
I think she's just a plain teenage girl. But I get what you're saying. But yeah, I think Winona Ryder, I've never been like that big of a fan of Winona Ryder, but she was a little bit before my time when she was really, kind of big. But my thing with Winona Ryder is, it's now 36 years since you've had to deal with Beetlejuice. Why did you keep this fucking haircut? It's the worst haircut in cinema history.
God.
And it just looks
having a
so
crazy
bad.
haircut, but those bangs.
And I get like if you were kind of doing a what's that big boobed lady who did all that horror stuff?
Elvira.
Like if you were doing an Elvira thing for your show,
but
when she's like just in a normal, she should just look like fucking Winona Ryder.
Yeah, it should pull off a wig.
I mean, I guess she could be like, well, I need to be in character because if I run into people in the street, I need to be, oh, you're the ghost hunter mom, you're Lydia Dietz.
But also, you were a ghost hunter when you were 14.
One super famous ghost hunter in this world. Like
Zach Baggins.
He's
the host of Ghost Hunter.
God damn it. Okay. I
didn't watch that shit. I
guess if you're from the town, it makes sense. Like everyone knows who Lydia Dietz is if she's like the only famous person from your town. But it just seems like Lydia Dietz is fucking the Leonardo DiCaprio of this world. Like everyone knows Lydia Dietz. Yeah. She's the ghost lady.
But if her show, like since we know she does see ghosts and she is resolving people's problems, like there's a lot of psychics in our world that have been debunked.
Yeah.
They're full of shit. But if we had someone who, time and time again, she gets it right. She resolves the problems, whatever it is. That person would probably be pretty famous.
Sure.
And like when she's in the bathroom and she's going to take a pill and there's a ghost talking to her and she's like, not now. Mm-hmm. And then she disappears. This doesn't ever really come up again. Yeah. She's not plagued by ghosts. It's just if they're there and then she could just kind of make them go away.
Yeah. But I agree with everything you said in terms of, get rid of a lot of these plot points. There's so many ideas that it seems like they just kind of throw them all in the same time.
Yeah, it's two movies.
The villains I did not like Monica Bellucci. Like, what was that character in terms of just like, oh, it's a cool demon cult or a soul-sucking cult people. And it's like, if she sucks your soul, then, you're just gone forever. Mm-hmm. Okay, and she married Beetlejuice and then immediately killed him for, I guess, a ritual.
And then he killed her.
But then the whole movie, all she's doing is just like walking down halls looking for Beetlejuice and then killing random ghosts who we don't really care about, except for Bob, I guess. Yeah. And then she shows up and is defeated instantly.
The same way that Beetlejuice was defeated.
Yeah, they made it seem like she's this like super dangerous entity that is roaming this in-between afterlife area, but like doesn't really, I guess she kind of gets like a triple homicide in their world.
Sure.
And then it's just defeated by sandworms because that's the only way you can like defeat ghosts, it seems. But my other big problem with this movie, it's just like I like that we spend time in, I love depictions of the afterlife,
Yeah, sure.
or whatever you want to call this in between space. So seeing more of that, and like seeing some of the costume design, and like
The
how
crazy
people,
deaths,
the crazy deaths, like all that's very fun. I
Yeah.
liked all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Like them going to, oh, there's an immigration line in the afterlife,
Yeah.
whatever that means.
Uh-huh.
But the rules of this world, I don't make any sense.
Yep.
Because like, how do some ghosts get jobs in here? Why do you have a police force? Like, is soul sucking demons something you have to deal with regularly? Or like, I mean, yeah, I guess you can worry about ghosts escaping to the real world, but it seems like they can do that, but you're not really investigating that. It just seems like you have a police force that like isn't really necessary.
Danny DeVito's a janitor. Are they making messes? Are you eating in the afterlife? Like, why?
Yeah. It was fun seeing Frank Reynolds again.
Sure.
After crushing a few beers. But yeah, it's just, what is the purpose of all this? And like, has it always been designed this way, or has it been upgrading through time? Like, was there an afterlife where it was just like cavemen with chisels? Like, all right, take a number. It's
Yeah.
or because like they're still using like switchboards and stuff. It still feels like kind of old. Also, I normally don't play this card because I don't like going down this route. But this movie was like low key a little racist, right?
With the realtor?
No. Well, what was the realtor?
The realtor is just like, they're like, oh, hey, it's Georgia Matthews. It's actually Georgia Matthew Lee's, and here's my Asian daughter, so we could have some diversity in the movie. It feels like there was no payoff to her saying like, oh, I'm married to an Asian guy. My last name's hyphenated, and here's my daughter. There's nothing.
I didn't even clock any of that. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
No, my thing was the Charles goes to a laundromat. It's just a Asian laundromat.
Yeah,
I was like, I mean, okay.
It's not the 90s. It's not Encino Man.
Yeah, it just feels like, I feel like we kind of would have just went around this area, but okay, fine. But then they kind of did it again when there's like everybody on the Soul Train, and then it was just like
a bunch of black people with afros and bell bottoms
dancing. Like, I get that that's like kind of a funny joke.
That's the oldest joke. That's a fucking Family Guy joke.
Yeah, it just seemed like, oh, I didn't think we could like do this anymore.
Yeah.
And also like, does anyone under 35 get like what the Soul Train is? Like, that's not something that people talk about anymore. No. So maybe that's why they did it, because like, oh, it's this joke is for the old people, young people won't even think about it. But anyway, I just thought that was a little odd that they like chose both of those options. Like, okay.
Because I remember hearing something about like, Tim Burton, you're kind of a racist. You only cast white people in all your movies. It doesn't matter what time period it is. It's always all white people. Let's get some more black and Asian representation. And like, oh, you want that? Okay. Bell bottoms and Chinese dry cleaners. You happy now?
Oh boy. Anyway, but one sequence I did kind of like was, and maybe you hated it, I liked the old time, like 1920s Nosferatu sequence.
No, I did like
of Beetlejuice's like origin, because I was like, oh, cool, like we get to see Beetlejuice's origin.
Yeah.
But my problem with it, and it's cool. Oh, he was in the Black Plague. He was a grave robber. I kind of wish he was more of like a charlatan, like a con man who was just like, oh, drink this thing and it'll cure you of the Black Plague, and it was actually just like killing people or did nothing. So he could still be a sleazebag, but him just like being a guy who digs out people's gold teeth or whatever. It was whatever. It was fine. But here's what I don't understand. And maybe this is explained in the movie and I missed it, or maybe it was explained in Beetlejuice and I missed it, because he was always the ghost with the most, right? And, he was this thing. But she said, oh, when I was a kid, my family was terrorized by a trickster demon. And then again later, she's like, well, it was literally a demon. Yeah. So is he a ghost or is he a demon? Or is he a ghost who has ascended to demon status? Why does he have powers? I get why she has powers, because she was part of the soul-sucking cult, so she went to the afterlife and has this ability, I guess. But he was just a dude. All these other humans who die just go to this place and then eventually get put on the train or move on or haunt a thing. So, if he was just like an asshole, it's like, well, I just want to keep haunting stuff. Well, why didn't he haunt the graveyard where people were getting buried or his home? Or why did he...
Why was he in the model in that original house,
Yeah. Why,
if he was like buried on that hill and then they built the house on top of his grave, and so
but they're in New England.
Yeah,
he died in the Black Plague, seemingly in
Europe.
Yeah, so Beetlejuice is also European.
Yep.
Which whatever.
And why is he called Beetlejuice? I know the writers named it after the star Beetlejuice. That's spelled the different way. It's part of Orion's constellation. Why did he adopt that name?
Yeah, it's like, how did he get his powers, and how come he's seemingly the only ghost with powers?
But now, see, Gina Davis and
they
were able to do that stuff. So it's like, maybe everybody does. It's just
most
they
people
choose
don't.
Not to. And it's like, okay, you could either move on and go to heaven and hell, or you take a job that is janitorial or working these desks, and you have to do these things because you have unfinished business and you don't want to move on. But Beetlejuice has his own company. He has employees, and they're taking calls about haunting other people. But we don't see him do any of that. It seemed like he was just stuck at that original house.
Yeah, but I mean, going back to the original, it's you watched the original recently, correct?
I didn't rewatch it.
Oh, okay, you didn't rewatch it. Because at the beginning of that movie, Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis, they die. They wake up back in their house, or they're walking into their house or whatever, and then they meet the old lady who's just like, oh yeah, it's standard ghost haunting thing where you got to spend 70 years here, or 120, whatever the number was, but you got to be here for X number of years, and then you can move on.
Yeah. If they stepped off, they fell into the sand planet.
Yeah. So, but what's Beetlejuice's thing?
Yeah.
Because if he's just, oh, I'm the guy you hire to get rid of people in your house because I'm expertly scary. Why?
Yeah.
Like, what rules does he get to skip around? Because the afterlife should theoretically all be about rules that he might be able to sort of twist, but he still has to abide by. And he does get, he has to sign a contract. I'll help you get your daughter out, but you have to marry me, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
If you marry me, I can come out of and be in the world of the living. But in the original, if he would have married Lydia, would he have just been a human again without powers, or would he have been a demon in the world with powers?
I don't think they explain that.
Right. So,
and in this one, if that kid, he's given up Astrid's soul so he could come back, would he come back in her body and they take her soul, or would his flesh just appear in the real world again? And then everybody goes, oh, it's that guy that killed his family years ago. How come he hasn't aged? It's like, we're very big on rules and lore and making things understand. And I understand with this, it's, you just have fun. Don't think too hard.
Sure.
And okay, that could be fine. But when you just raise a bunch of questions and you contradict yourself.
Yeah.
If you're going to do that, now you need to explain
Charles
it to me.
Getting bent in half by a shark and he's talking out of his spine and blood squirts out. I have no problem with that. Yeah, it's afterworld magic shit.
Yeah.
Anybody can transform into stuff here, whatever. But this guy who also, was able to trick this kid, or, he's like, oh, I passed through immigration, and he pulls a lever and the kid goes to hell. Beetlejuice has the power to send people to hell.
Yeah.
That's a thing he can do?
Yeah,
or did
he took someone's job.
Or is that
stamped his passport.
Or did he just hop over the desk and that person, they had the power to send them to hell and he was just able to...
Or does it matter? Switch. As long as you pull the lever, you can send anyone to hell.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And, what's the qualifications of... It seems like, oh, if you murder your parents, you should go to hell.
Yeah.
But no, you get to haunt this house forever, or is it the standard contract of 100 years or whatever it is? Because Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin, all they did was get an accident,
and they didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, so they get the same punishment, or the same maybe their unfinished business was like, oh well, we just built this house, we wanted to be in it for a while.
Yeah.
Okay, but this kid's unfinished business was I mean, it seemed like he finished his
He
business.
finished it, yeah. He killed his parents, but he just didn't want to go to hell.
Yeah.
So he stayed behind.
I guess so.
And we have not established, like, is there an actual god or a devil? We know they send him to hell, so there must be a hell, a heaven, but are there people in charge of those spots?
Yeah, is it run kind of like this area where there's trains and desk clerks and people with a police force, or is it just, it's all pure light and everyone's happy or whatever? I mean, I did like, if you look at the train, it had the Great Beyond, the Elysian Field, like there was kind of different options
depending on your belief system. So
I liked seeing that it wasn't just like one thing, but because I'm seeing this world and you're establishing rules in this world, well, I want to know how this world functions and why things are the way they are, because this is the part that's interesting. I know the world of the living.
Mm-hmm. Why couldn't Lydia see her dead husband? He said, "Oh, I know you couldn't see me, but I check up on you time to time." So could she have seen him, or was he really good at just like hiding behind cars so she couldn't see him? I figured it was, I left you guys in a good place, and I saw that other ghosts were having injustices done to them. Like the queue was so long, I decided to take a job so I could be more efficient, because maybe he was good at that sort of thing. And I knew I didn't need to go and haunt you guys because I had people in the afterlife to help. But it's like, no, he just took a job, I guess.
But yeah,
what are the rules?
But, because they don't explain it. It's like, well, why did he take this job? Because they don't explain it. It just happens to be like, oh, I found my dad here, and he just happened to be working at this spot in terms of. But everyone else was, most people seem to be going through the line, because it only really seems like it doesn't. Like, why would it take Monica Bellucci so long to find Beetlejuice? Because it seems like the whole afterlife area of this, even though theoretically, I guess there could be millions of people in here.
Yeah.
Kind of seemed like this, just kind of like a big old mall.
Yeah, it wasn't that big.
So where are we walking into? Where are we going? How are we getting to where we're going?
Yeah.
I know these are like minor gripes, I guess, but it just, I don't know. If I would have been more interested, if you're going to have Monica Bellucci in this movie, I want her to like really traverse through this world, and you see a bunch of like new things you've never seen before, and you're like, oh, that's why this exists, or what a cool idea this is, or that I'd like to see maybe explored in the third Beetlejuice movie. But mostly it was just like her walking in corridors and then just going into like a room and killing a person and leaving. But it God damn it.
You could have teamed her up with, say, Winona Ryder. Like, at the end of the first one, Beetlejuice got eaten by the worm, and so maybe he was trapped in the sand plant or whatever, and it took a long time for him to get back to where he was. So Monica Bellucci was never able to get her revenge. And then when Winona Ryder is down there, she's like, "I'm looking for Beetlejuice." You're like, you've seen Beetlejuice? Yeah, Beetlejuice is with my kid. Let's team up. I get my kid back. You get your revenge on Beetlejuice. It's like, okay, cool. You've tied them together. And instead of her just going like, ooh, walking through hallways, sucking dudes dry,
But at least Cathrine O'Hara was in this movie. She's always a gem.
Yep.
What else did I have for this movie? I feel dumb. I honestly didn't see the boy being a ghost twist.
I thought something was up when
you didn't see his parents' faces. Yeah.
But I didn't know he was going to be dead.
Yeah, it didn't occur to me. I was like, oh, that's a fun twist. I like that.
Sure.
And I think I would have enjoyed seeing that villain more than Monica Bellucci's villain.
Sure.
But because we really had so little time with him, it just feels like he was kind of a throwaway character.
Yeah. It was just a way to get Astrid into the afterlife. Yeah. But we already have an access to that. His name's Beetlejuice.
I enjoyed Keaton in this movie. Obviously not nearly as much as the first one, but I don't know. It seemed like he was having fun, so I was kind of having fun. Yeah. So I don't think his performance was bad or unfunny. No, I think he was doing.
It's fine.
I think he was doing good with what he was given, and I did kind of enjoy the final sequence, even though it was clearly them trying to,
with the
recapture the Deo thing.
Of all songs,
I think the sequence works for me.
But why that song? I hate that song so
really?
much. Who Left the Cake Out in the Rain is such a stupid fucking song. It really shows, like, you take the music of any song but put different lyrics to it, how different it could be. Mm-hmm. And why that person chose those lyrics, I don't know. And it goes on and on.
It's a
and
very
on.
long sequence.
And I get it with the like Deo song. It's a very niche, weird song that maybe people have forgotten about. Oh, let's do the same thing. But they picked the wrong one. Do fucking The Witch Doctor or something like that, you know? Yeah, an Alvin and the Chipmunk song. Something silly, but not this. I hate that song so much.
Oh, I didn't have a problem with the song.
But it's things like that. Like, I don't mind them bringing back the idea of everybody being possessed and singing a weird song. Just bad choice.
Another thing I wish that worked in this movie was any sort of emotional catharsis.
Okay.
Just from, the Lydia and Jenna Ortega's character,
Astrid,
thank you, getting together and being happy at the end. Like, we pretty much knew that was going to happen. So that one I didn't need anything from. That could, played out fine. But I wish that either the reunion between Cathrine O'Hara's character and Charles was like emotionally satisfying, or the reunion between Astrid and her dad was emotionally satisfying.
Yeah,
like
they didn't even talk.
They barely talked. You saw your dad was eaten by piranhas or whatever. Well, that's the thing. It's just, you also find out your grandma died today. And it just seems like no one was ever really that sad. Ever.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they're kind of a morbid family. But, you play some soft music, you have a Jenna Ortega cry, we know she can do it, and be like, hey, Dad, I miss you. And she's like, hey, I'll always be watching over you. Just something to like try and get some waterworks out of the crowd, makes us laugh, makes us cry. We had a good time there. But there was just like none of that. Like, I understand why Charles and Cathrine O'Hara's character, like, that's kind of like the funny reunion. And then Jenna Ortega and her dad would be the emotional one. Because one, it seemed kind of weird to maybe have this like really heartfelt moment with this guy who in real life maybe did some horrible stuff. But you could also, wouldn't that be great if you have this headless blood stump, like, almost make you cry because their love is so pure that that it could have been a really nice scene. But I get why you wouldn't do that. But then you need to dump all the emotion into the reunion between Jenna Ortega and her dad. And it was just some actor who we've never seen before, who was in 4 minutes of this movie, and then it was just kind of like, hey, it was good to see you. Bye. I got to get back to work. It's like, well, what was that? And
Winona Ryder doesn't even say anything like, I wish we could have worked it out. You were my true love. I got involved with this dipshit after you, and I really see you were the better one for me. It's always like, yep, you're here.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, when the dad shows up and saves him and takes him to his apartment in the afterlife, they kind of just sit around the table quietly and just like, hey, it's good to see you guys. Yeah, good to see you too. And they hug. It's like, we should get out of here, right?
Yeah,
okay,
cool.
It's like, what a fucking waste of a moment.
Yeah, no emotion.
It's like, that's what I need. I need you to try and bring heart to this movie, and I think you guys brought the fun to it in terms of like, I believe everyone had a good time making this, but you threw the movie away. There's a good movie here, or at least a better one, and it's not. This is like a 5 out of 10 for me. C minus.
I gave it a D plus.
I want to give it back because it's not really like that awful.
It's not just shit.
It's just because
it's
wasted potential. That's what pisses me off about it.
And I think everyone is just so happy to have Beetlejuice back that they're willing to overlook how much bad is in this, that they're just happy to see it again, and that it all structurally works more or less. It all comes together at the end. It may not hit every beat that we needed
everything
to
is
hit,
paid off,
but everything is paid off. And I think people are happy enough that it is a competent, put together movie that they're just going to forget about everything else.
And then we also have the final sequence of the movie.
Pick an ending, man.
Which you guys want to talk about Lord of the Rings having multiple endings? No, but
them going to Dracula's castle was enough. And her seeing that guy, and then that's it. Boom. And then maybe you see like Beetlejuice is behind a bush. Like they're seeing him again. And you ended on there. But come on,
I love happy endings.
Yeah, Beetlejuice baby. Come on.
Yeah, that was when she when she was in there and she was about to give birth, I was like, oh,
Here we go.
I
Yep.
guarantee it's going to be the Beetlejuice baby. And of course it was. Surprisingly violent. I didn't expect it to come out and just like murder 2 of the doctors.
This movie is bloodier than I expected it to be.
But then, just a dream sequence. But then Beetlejuice is there, and I kind of almost think I would like it if the contract did go through and Lydia did marry Beetlejuice. Because it's like, what if the third movie was like their marriage or her trying to get out of it or something?
Yeah,
that could be an interesting like cliffhanger. But it's just like, oh nope, it's a double dream sequence.
Yeah.
And I get that that's the classic horror thing. You got to end on some sort of like twist ending.
Sure, but it was lame. It's like, oh, wake up from that dream and then done. And like, oh, there's not like a final joke. It seems like the only reason they did all that was to do the baby Beetlejuice joke, and that wasn't funny enough to justify, keep going, to wake up from a dream to a dream and dream. And find a better way to end that. I think, me and my roommate were talking about, they should have just married. And maybe it's not the best message, but it could be something that, hey, I'm Lydia Dietz and I am a moron when it comes to love. I'll marry this loser instead of the other loser back home because it's going to save my daughter. The only way she can get back to the real world is if I actually go through with this. And then for the third one, maybe they actually like, you know what? Once you get to know him, he's kind of a good dude, and then you could gross up Lydia and make her more ghoulish and
and make the third movie. Oh well, my mom. And for years, I've been trying to figure out a way to like get back to the afterlife or find some loophole to get her out. And then, Beetlejuice is kind of just like, oh, hey, I'm your stepdad. Like, we have a good time here, kid. Like, I want to. And then it becomes kind of like Beetlejuice trying to be a good father and a good husband, but clearly he is who he is, and it's like you're not a good guy. You realize you kidnapped me into this marriage and stuff, but there could be some sort of like fun odd couple modern family thing going on here. I'm not saying that's the movie I want or that it would be good, but at least it'd be something different. And then it's like, is Lydia actually dead, or if she's in the afterlife a certain amount of time, she becomes dead, and so like they're on a time crunch. It's like, oh, if I don't get you, because technically you're still a living person in the dead realm, if I got to get you out before the clock strikes midnight, otherwise you'll be dead forever, and you'll have to just be stuck with Beetlejuice or something. I don't know, you could do a million things, and then we could see more of this world. Make the entire third movie just in the afterlife.
There's no reason to be in the real world anymore.
Like opens in the real world, ends in the real world, or maybe they're just like, you know what? Let's all just be a family in the afterlife.
Sure.
And that's the ending. Whatever. I don't care.
They're going to just bulldoze the house. And the only way they could get out is like through the little playset town. And if they bulldoze the house, we'll be trapped here and we won't be able, or like, they draw a door. Well, if they bulldoze the house, the door will be destroyed and I'll be stuck here. They're going to bulldoze the house on Monday. That gives us 72 hours to get out of here. And that's your ticking clock.
Sure.
Wow. Do you think they'll make a third one?
Even though I didn't like this one, I want a third one. Only for the sole reason of you made Beetlejuice. You made Beetlejuice.
I said the same thing.
You can't not do 3.
They didn't call it Beetlejuice, like a lot of movies do. Or just Beetlejuice 2. They called it Beetlejuice for a reason.
Yeah.
The third one is coming. And I think the third one should just be called Beetlejuice 3.
Beetlejuice X3,
or is all the E's in Beetlejuice are just 3s.
Yeah.
But oh god, I'd hate one ticket for a Beetlejuice, please. It's such a long, stupid title, but
but wouldn't it be great? Like if I was working in a movie theater and I was working opening weekend of Beetlejuice 3 and someone says, oh, can I get a ticket for Beetlejuice? I would hire someone to be below the ticket counter who would pop up and be like, here you go, brother. Enjoy your show. Like just every single time. Yeah. That'd be the whole point of the movie. Like
It's funny that you think that they sell tickets and it's not all done on an app.
I know. Or you could do the same thing digitally. You once you click and buy it, a little thing pops up. Be like, thanks for buying a ticket to my movie, brother.
Yep.
I didn't hate it. It was totally watchable. Not necessarily a good film, but I want Beetlejuice 3. I don't know. it's weird. I don't. At this point, it's like you kind of not necessarily ruined the franchise, but you didn't do it any justice. So you're not going to do it any more harm making a dog shit one. But you played the smartest move. You named it Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
Yep.
Now we need that third one.
Yep.
And it's the dumbest. It's because of a title. I need a third movie.
Yeah. It justifies itself in that way.
Yep.
Whereas the second one doesn't justify itself being so late after the first one. The third one justifies itself just from the title.
Yeah, you need Beetlejuice 3 2-3 years from now tops.
Yeah.
Because they're all old as fuck. And then, maybe the Alec Baldwin stuff will have died down. You bring back Gina Davis, you do some de-aging stuff.
The Alec Baldwin stuff, him shooting that woman?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, yeah, I mean, but it wasn't his fault.
I don't know the details. I'm just saying, like, maybe
he's still like found guilty for doing it, but it was not his fault that gun fired.
Sure.
So, yeah.
But I just mean, like,
sure.
After something like that, I don't know. Maybe you're just like, you know what? I'm not going to do stuff anymore.
I think bring back that Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian script and work that into Beetlejuice 3. Get out of this little fucking town. Let's have Beetlejuice on his honeymoon with Lydia. They go to Hawaii. Something.
Yeah. Bring in Haley Joel Osment as like as a fun little ghost thing. Make it like the Deadpool 3 of like, just bring it. Not that there's a whole big connected universe of it.
No.
But just throw in, ghost metaphors. Not metaphors, but meta stuff.
Like, how come Beetlejuice and the Addams Family have never crossed over? Like,
wasn't there an episode of the cartoon where they did that?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe. But it just seems, not with the Jenna Ortega thing aside.
Yeah.
It just seems like the Addams Family would know him, or like he would go and stay with them for a while. Uncle Beetlejuice! And, all the wackiness that they would do, that'd be really fun.
Yeah.
And then the guys from RIPD show up and blast them to hell.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice with guns. That's what we need.
Yeah. I think we just need to see Beetlejuice go to hell.
Yeah.
I think that's how the third movie ends, but he does it saving Lydia because he has learned to love. Like, if we go, they are married. Like, he goes to hell and saves, but is happy in hell because, like, that's kind of his thing. It's like, oh, I don't care about this torture stuff. Like, they made me I did such a good job running Bob's call center office that they're like, oh no, they made me like the top torture guy down here. And, so he can kind of get a happy ending, even though he's a bad guy. Lydia and her daughter and all that stuff can have their happy. Maybe she meets a man in the like that's what happens at the end. Like, Beetlejuice saves himself, so she's like, thanks, Beetlejuice. She gets back to the land of the living and meets a man, and that they're happy. But something. Anyway, we're pitching movies that are never going to happen. But yeah, Beetlejuice. I
just want Beetlejuice to be like annoying the devil. And the devil's like, get the fuck out of here, okay?
Just sends him to heaven.
Just sends him back, and then it's like, you're God's problem now. And then it's like, and then God sends him back, and like, okay, go back to purgatory. That's where you belong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of Beetlejuice going to hell and heaven, and just like neither one of them wants them. That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Or... Yeah. There's something there. Yeah. That'd be a good joke. Anyway, so Beetlejuice. What did you guys think? Did you agree with us? Because it seems like most people are kind of on the same page with us.
But talking to my friends in other states and everything seem to be more on the same page with us. So I don't know if it's just a bunch of content creators jerking each other off, getting paid off by studios to give a favorable review. But, people like... fucking Chris Stuckman love this movie. That guy. Yeah. Anyhow, still want to watch his movie though.
I do. Yeah.
Coming sometime this year. Anyhow, all right. Next week, it's finally here. Speak No Evil. If you don't want to see it, you don't have to see it.
What else is there?
That Dave Bautista assassin movie where he like puts a hit out on himself because he thinks he's dying.
Yeah.
And then it turns out it's not right. I also saw that My Old Ass was supposed to come out, but then I saw something else saying that's the week after. So
I'll take a look. We'll see.
I don't know.
Maybe it's This Meets That, or Make Me Watch.
Okay,
we'll see.
We'll talk to Nick and try to get like a 3-way Make Me Watch. All right, cool. If you want to get in contact with us, we are at WRPLpodcast@gmail.com. We're on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. What'd you think of Beetlejuice, and what do you want to see from Beetlejuice 3? As always, I'm Ben.
And I'm
And
Steve.
keep consuming.